So I just watched a brand new 2025 Japanese horror film called Tenement, and this is about a half Japanese, half Cambodia manga artist who returns home to Cambodia after her mother dies to get a new perspective. She's told by this publisher for her potential new manga partnership that her work just needs more to it, and that she should go out and find a new perspective on things and try to, you know, give the audience some more life experience with her writing. That her writing just feels kind of dull, and so she takes her boyfriend and she returns home to Cambodia, and this is to a tenement where her mother once lived. And yeah, I mean, you know, it's a kind of fish out of water, returning to a different place that you came from. Very typical tropey Asian setup as far as, you know, the horror genre is concerned. I feel like this is something that I see in a ton of these movies. Yeah, so the initial setup for the movie is quite good. I think that the characters are very strong and very likable, especially the boyfriend. When they go to Cambodia, they meet a taxi driver named Jam, who is also very, very likable. I think that there's a pretty good chemistry between our lead and her boyfriend, and the big building, the tenement that they go to live in, is a pretty good, you know, setting for the film. The thing that I was struggling with a bit in this movie is that a lot of the horror in this just felt pretty tropey. That said, there seems to be a deeper symbolic meaning to everything in the film, and I think this is a film that probably should be watched and dissected, you know, a couple times. I think that it would definitely need a couple viewings to really try to suss out like what is actually happening here, because the last like 15 minutes or so definitely started to go in a direction where I was like, okay, did I miss something? I was trying to pay pretty close attention to things, but in the end I felt a tad confused, but I also felt like there was enough there for me to look back on the film and then potentially revisit it to try to piece everything together. And I think that's a good thing. I mean, do I think every film should be made to be viewed 2 to 3 times before you get it? That probably is asking a lot from your audience. You know, some people just like to go and have a light, easily digestible film, and that's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I also really appreciate when films have ambiguity and they are leaving pieces of the puzzle kind of scattered around and don't really connect the pieces easily for you. And of course, I love that kind of style of filmmaking. I talk about them on the channel all the time, and sometimes they really, really work for me, and I feel like there's just enough there to be intriguing and for me to want to piece together things. And then of course there's other times where it just feels confusing for confusing's sake, weird for weird's sake, and I don't feel like the thing is properly thought through. I think that it's just being ambiguous to seem like it's intelligent. But with this one, I do feel like there's meaning, and I do feel like there's a potential cultural divide aspect to this for me, but that's also part of the film as well. And I like how that's used here, because her boyfriend is Japanese and speaks Japanese, and she is half and half, and she speaks the language over there, and she speaks to him, and when there's conversations happening between her in and the the family and the tenants of that building that they're in, there is a cultural divide, right? Like where there's a language barrier where he doesn't know what they're saying, and there's this feeling of isolation that he has, where he's kind of sitting there like, okay, like I don't know what's being said, and she rarely translates for him, so he does feel kind of like a foreigner. And she feels like a half foreigner because, yes, while she came from there, she's been gone for a long time. So that kind of stuff is cool. And, I'm as far as the, like, deeper stuff into the plot goes, I can't really divulge any of that for spoilers and whatnot. I don't know. At times it had, like, Rosemary's Baby vibes to it, for sure. I definitely see influences there. But it also just feels like tons of other films that I watch. I actually watched another Asian horror film from this year that I'm blanking on the title of at the moment that also had a similar feeling of this, where a girl was coming home after her sister died, I want to say, and she's in her apartment building and there's weird things going on there. She's investigating the apartment building. It had vibes like that movie. I'll put it in the comments below after I get off of here and look up what the hell that movie was called. But yeah, as I said, just the atmosphere was good. It was adequate. The performances were good, very good. The characters were likable, and I do think there is enough here to analyze and go back for a rewatch to get a deeper understanding and meaning of it, which I think I'm interested in doing. I watched this alone, obviously Kayla really likes Japanese culture and Japanese films, so it would be an easy sell to get her to watch this with me for her first time and my second time, so we can have a deeper discussion, because I don't really have anyone to talk to this film about who has seen it. So this was definitely a film where I'm, that's I guess as much as I can say. I know I'm supposed to be like, you should watch it or you shouldn't watch it. I'm not 100% sure where I land on this one quite yet, but after my first viewing, I'm intrigued. I didn't love it. I did find it interesting, though, that this was Cambodia's entry into the Oscars. They actually submitted this film for Best Foreign Picture of the Year, which I thought that's what actually made me watch this movie, even though it has like a 4.6 on IMDb, although I've just talked about recently how much I don't care about IMDb scores anymore because they are becoming increasingly unreliable. But seeing that headline, I think on like Deadline, that this film had been submitted to the Oscars for consideration for Best Foreign Film, was like, okay, they obviously think they got something pretty special here. So, and it's a horror film. I gotta check it out, right? So yeah, I'm intrigued by it. I definitely didn't love it on my first viewing, but I could have a deeper appreciation for it on a second viewing. So definitely try to pay attention if you do watch it. Really pay attention to all the small things and everything that's going on, because the ending definitely makes you go, huh? Okay, interesting. I'm not really sure. I have some things pieced together, but not all of it. Definitely not all of it. I think I have a pretty good guess on most things, but I'm definitely curious on how I would feel about the story after another watch. So that's my feelings as of right now. Tenement is available to rent on VOD. It's expensive right now. It's $7, so maybe you want to wait for it to drop in price a bit if this seems too risky to pull the trigger on. I completely understand that. But I wanted to check it out to let you guys know, seeing as how it was submitted to the Oscars. And I do really like Japanese horror when it's done right. I mean, I guess I like every country's films when it's done quote unquote right, or to my liking, I guess is more accurate. So yeah, I still don't know. I guess where I'm pretty certain maybe I'll vibe with it better next time, but I just, the horror stuff, while it might be deeper than I initially felt, you know, after it concluded. And if I go back and I rewatch it, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, now I get the story, and I get the, you know, the metaphors, the symbolisms, you know, whatever. Like, all of that, I'm definitely open to being the case. But as of right now, I still feel like even if that's true, I will still feel like the horror felt tropey and kind of been there, done that. Now, of course, that being said, as you all know, I watch endless amounts of horror movies and movies in general. So a movie really has to come up with something extremely fresh for me to not feel that way. That said, I'm not overly critical either. So something about this movie was off-putting towards the tropey nature. And I've definitely watched other movies that have undeniable tropes in them, but the tropes are executed in a way that didn't feel so repetitive for me, you know? All right, now I'm being cryptic. Now you're gonna have to go back and watch this video twice and be like, wait, hold on, what? I gotta piece all this together. All right, well, there you go. Tenement. Check it out. Let me know. Adios.